Welcome, I'm Claire Shaeffer. This video was made for my returning friends. It's a hodgepodge from my vast library of images from costume exhibitions, museum research, old lectures, interesting design details, and poor quality images. Tell me what you like and don't like. The stunning Paul Poiret coat is from the Poiret exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The coat is trimmed with a fur collar and suede cutwork. This detail features a beautiful cutwork design and how the smaller sections were sewn together. The Musée Yves Saint Laurent in Paris is a small museum, but it is filled with fabulous designs. When I last visited the museum, the special exhibit focused on designs inspired by the paintings of Mondrian and Poliakov. At the time of the exhibit, there were no Mondrian paintings in Paris museums. I confess I was not familiar with Poliakov designs or his paintings, but I like them. Look closely and you can see the horizontal seams at the top and bottom of the black band. First, the individual sections for the yoke, middle sections, and skirt were assembled. Then the three sections were sewn together to make the dress. The dress construction for the Poliakov dresses is quite different. They have reverse corners, which are much more difficult to sew than the seaming on the Mondrian dresses. Yves Saint Laurent's atelier is at the end of the self-guided tour. Here he created designs, fitted the models, and accessorized them for the Grand Défilés. The Grand Défilés are the shows in January and July for the press. Notice the two small rectangles on the left end of the mirror. Here you can see images taken earlier when the atelier was in use. I photographed a few of the more interesting images. Yves Saint Laurent used the mirrored wall for designing and fitting. The photo quality is poor. Do you think the photo is interesting enough to show another day, even though the quality is poor? This photo shows how Yves Saint Laurent arranged the fabric pattern when designing. Here, Yves Saint Laurent is evaluating a toile. A toile is a new design, generally made of muslin or calico. The exhibition Galpé Couture Fantasy celebrated the extraordinary designs of the first Chinese couturier. Here are a few images from the exhibition at the Legion of Honor in San Francisco. This 2018 design took 10,000 hours to create. The skirt is a basketry weave made with bamboo. It separates at center front and center back, so it can be worn. It is embellished with Swarovski, rhinestones, resin beads and sequins, metallic thread, guipure lace, copper, steel wire, gold foil, and silk. This stunning dress is from the 2006 Courtyard collection. The photo was taken by the Legion of Honor photographer Gary Sexton. The ensemble, this dress and jacket, were embroidered with silk and silver threads. It was embellished with zircon beads, Swarovski crystals, rhinestones, and ostrich feathers. You can see the stunning beadwork on this close-up of the jacket. I would be remiss if I didn't include a few photographs from the 2023 Met Lagerfeld exhibition. One of the most interesting elements was the Lagerfeld sketches, which were shown for many of the designs. These dresses were for Chloe. Lagerfeld also designed for Fendi. He frequently used alternatives to new fur skins. The brown and black cape is pieced mink. The yellow coat on the right is faux fur trimmed with yellow mink. The evening gown was made of black silk georgette and silk organza. Then it was embroidered by Lesage with chenille yarn and black sequins flecked with gold paint. The jacket and skirt were also embroidered by Lesage with black sequins and trimmed with gold and black bugle beads. This dress and bolero were from Lagerfeld's ready-to-wear collection. Both were fabricated in black silk, satin-back crepe, and black silk net. This Yves Saint Laurent dress is in the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles. The underskirt has a skewed ruffle at the hem that might show when the wearer's satin crossed her legs. More importantly, it gave the skirt volume so it would stand away at the hem. In the diagram, you can see how the ruffle is skewed. When it is wider, it can be skewed more than a narrow ruffle. The stunning Charles Frederick Worth dress is in the Museum of the City of New York collection. Look closely. The dress was made of strips of ribbons and trims in 24 hours. This is a 2-inch thick shoulder pad and a very poor image. When I visited the workroom at Valentino, they were taking the shoulder pads out of a dress for Queen Sophia. The shoulder pads had been sewn into the dress, so when she dressed, she would first put her arms through the loops so the elastic tubing fit under her arm. When the dress was zipped, the shoulder pads prevented any gaposis on the neckline when she moved. The elastic loops here are encased in silk tubes. I put these elastic loops on some shoulder pads at the time and was quite pleased with the way they held the blouses in place. Notice how the horse's tail laps over the dart. This photograph is from Couture Sewing. The Schiaparelli jacket is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. This double bias trim is one of my favorite fringe trims. Cut the bias strips twice the width of the finished fringe. My red strip is chiffon, but you could use organza. It's wider so you can see it easily. Machine stitch the strips together at the center. Then press the chiffon in one direction and the trim in the opposite direction. When you compare the fringes, you can see why I like the bias trim in the center better than the one on the right. It's also easier to shape around curves. The wrong side of the sleeve cuff is on the left. Fold and press the seam allowance, or hem, to the wrong side. Use catch stitches to sew the edges to the sleeve. Next, sew the chiffon to the cuff's hem with running stitches. Turn the cuff right side out and admire your fringe trim. On the inside, smooth the lining over the seam allowance, baste, then slip stitch or fell stitch it in place. What did you like best? Yves Saint Laurent's atelier, the sewing bits and pieces, or fashion exhibits? Lagerfeld, Yves Saint Laurent, Galpé, Worth? What did you like least? Remember 1991 and the Gulf War? Most magazine editors did not attend the couture shows, so I had a front row seat at Lanvin. Here is a photo I took of Claude Montana at the end of the show. I'm Claire Shaeffer. Thank you for joining me today.